What's up, guys? My name is Mike, and welcome back to a very, very special episode of Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4, our Learn About Canada edition. So we've just finished another doctrine. Let's grab Armored Operations. So the Great Depression rolled into Canada, the stock market crashed, the big drought hit, and it was an economic disaster just as poor Bennett was taking office as his sweeping victory. He worked so fucking hard to take office, and now he was in control of a country in crisis and did not do a very good job. So, couple of comparisons. So if you know anything about Roosevelt's New Deal, you know about all the infrastructure building, you know about all the tactics to get out of a horrible depression. Canada employed much the same tactics. However, didn't do nearly a good enough job at it. So for example, Canadians in Canadian work camps during the Great Depression were getting paid only 20 cents a day, compared to Americans getting paid $1 a day. Canada also invested $0 into having these work camps of any sort of culture. So whereas in the US, 20, where did my guys go? Is that everybody? That's everybody. So we got four more guys to train? Shit. I'm gonna train 4 more guys. God damn it. Train. Getting myself distracted. There we go. We'll train these 4 guys. And because we should have more than enough equipment, I'm actually going to exercise these guys to try to build up their experience. So go ahead and exercise. We're going to try to build up the experience before World War I. Maybe we can get these guys. Oh, no, wait. They're already trained. No, because they can get one more. They can get one more level, right? Yes, they can. Okay, perfect. What was I saying? So they spent $0 on any sort of cultural anything for these camps. So whereas the American camps had things like like sports and operas and plays and movies and all sorts of real hardcore Americana type investment into the spirit of the people to get them through the Great Depression and come out strong on the other side, Canada would have nothing of it, rather. And it's not all their fault. I mean, politically, it would have been a complete disaster. You know, the very fiscally conservatives were in power, and the political sort of structure at the time would have just skewered them if they had spent what they would have considered to be, utterly frivolous amounts of money on, wasting this when the economy was in such a crisis. However, Canada came out the other end in a much worse position than the US did. Because the US came out of it stronger, much stronger economically, but also in terms of cultural. I mean, the US really had spent a lot of time, effort, and resources building up that American culture, that, real American culture during this time period, and Canada did not. And it really kind of shows in sort of the post-Depression politics, the post-Depression culture. I mean, at the time, Canada, post-Depression, Canada had virtually no writers, no artists, nothing really working. During the Great Depression, had nobody really working. Any culture that was being imported was almost 100% British, right? And that was really set Canada back as a whole, as a nation, and started to kind of fragment a lot of the national unity it had gained post World War I. So not a great way to kind of get through the Depression. So, but nonetheless did. However, it did huge damage to Bennett and his conservatives. There were things like everything was being blamed on the conservatives. Everything was being blamed on the conservatives in general, for better or worse. So, I mean, they had things like the Bennett buggies. The Bennett buggies were cars where people couldn't even afford to fuel up their cars. So they had to have them pulled by horses, and they called them Bennett buggies. There were the Bennett bureaus, which were essentially like ghetto work camps where all the people flooding into the cities trying to find work were just being herded into these horrible conditions. You had the Bennett barnyards, which were abandoned farmsteads. All of the, we'll get Liberty Ethos, I guess. All of the Zog submits, kneel before Zog. All of the farmers that were fleeing their drought-ridden, crippled farms. Are we still exercising? We're still exercising. Good. Had fled all the farmland, and they called them Bennett barnyards, like these abandoned farmsteads all over the country. So, obviously everything was being pinned on Bennett, and Mackenzie King was more than happy to play to those fears and play to those sort of sentiments. So the election comes around again. 1935, coincidentally at the end of the traditional Great Depression. 1937 was a bad year as well, but 1935, the worst of it was over. And of course, Bennett was running for re-election, and it was, hang on, political advisor. What do I want now? Military high command, air superiority, artillery. I guess we'll get artillery. We're not building artillery yet. Actually, you know what? I should get. Can I get one of these? I should probably get one of these. Fuck. Like partial mobilization. God damn it. Okay, next 150 points, we're going to grab one of these, and we're probably going to have to upgrade our manpower as well, because we're out of manpower once again. Yeah, our organization is shit, probably from the training. Maybe we'll stop exercising, let our things build up. Reinforce rate is up, that's good. This is 0.58 years ahead. Do we have any bonuses right now for research? Nope. No bonuses for research. All right. Well, in that case, we will grab some support equipment, I guess. We should research some of this stuff. We're going to start building support equipment pretty damn quick here. What was I saying? Blame it all on Bennett. Blame it all on Bennett. So the election comes around, and what happens is Bennett runs a pretty tepid campaign, despite Bennett himself being a fiery, sort of like a bull in a china shop type. Ooh, joining the Axis. Fuck yeah. War's starting, boys. War's starting. Despite being like a human bull in a china shop. And do we want neutrality for deterrence? Military factory construction speed plus 20% is pretty fucking good. That seems better than any of this stuff. So we're going to go neutrality. Despite being a human bull in a china shop, ran a pretty tepid campaign, and his campaign slogans were just a complete disaster. I can't remember the exact phrasing off the top of my head, but it was just bullshit like, oh, Canada first, and, you know, stronger tomorrow, stronger together, like just completely things devoid of any meaning. And at that point in history, Canadians wanted meaning. They needed some sort of assurance that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Mackenzie King, on the other hand, came up with a very simple, very effective, very... What the fuck do these guys come from? I'm not training anymore, am I? Damn it, I don't want to train anymore. No, no more. Until we get our manpower back. Okay, you guys can hang out in Ottawa. Came with a very effective, very almost, you know, modern type slogan. It was simply King or Chaos. King or Chaos won the election for Mackenzie King by far. People took to that. They saw the disaster of the Depression. They saw the disaster of Bennett and the Conservatives, and they re-elected Mackenzie King in a fucking landslide. It was like, although Mackenzie King had won like 92 to 91 seats, like a bare majority government, Mackenzie King won back like 191 to some bullshit. Like basically destroyed. And it was like, it wasn't guaranteed up until then. That King or Chaos slogan was born out of an actual real panic coming out of, we'll build some military factories now, we have enough civilian. A real panic, because at the time, Bennett was actually stealing from Mackenzie's platform, from Mackenzie King's platform. He had stolen points that they had battled about on the election and started integrating into his own campaign. So the Conservative Party was slowly shifting to the left, right? At the same time, there was a very real, although probably somewhat misplaced, fear of communists taking over the country. There was about a 4,000 strong political movement, 4,000 people strong political movement, and we're going to go partial mobilization. Fuck yeah. We're going to start to mobilize because world tension's getting up there. A 4,000 strong communist party that started in the prairies that was basically encroaching on from the left. So you've got Mackenzie King kind of stuck in the middle. And so he couldn't go to the right because that's where the Conservatives were starting to approach from to differentiate himself. Couldn't go any more to the left because that's where the communists were coming from. Call to arms. I guess we will answer the call to arms. Except we are now in World War I. World War II. I actually should have waited. I'm going to get into the actual historical start date. Fuck. That would have been cool. Anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. Sorry, I'm getting myself distracted. We're going to head on over to Africa, I think. We're going to start in Africa and work our way through. We're going to let the Europeans battle out in Europe. They can deal with that problem. We're on our way, boys. Thomas Victor Anderson to the rescue. Prerequisites are no longer fulfilled. I guess that makes sense. And air wings, where are my air wings? I guess we'll send you boys over to Cornwall. You can help bomb the English Channel. Keep those pesky subs off. Anyway, so the communists were coming from the left. The Conservatives were actually coming from the right. So Mackenzie King was very shrewd in his politicking at the time. And that King or Chaos really sealed the deal for him. So we're now in 1936. The war is fast approaching. At the time, Canada was actually very pro-appeasement, and so were the people. I mean, they actually stood up and applauded Mackenzie King when he made a very much a pro-appeasement speech. very sort of late in the 30s. So very much pro-appeasement. However, of course, the war, as we just saw in this game, was completely inevitable. So it was just a matter of time before things got out of hand. So, of course, the war starts. 1939, September 1st, 1939, the war is well underway. Or just has, pardon me, is not well underway, has started in full tilt. The UK calls to arms for the entire world, all of its Commonwealth countries, including Canada. Canada pulls what was probably the biggest dick swinging move, the biggest baller move in up until that point of the 20th century, in that it waited. It never answered the call. Unlike in World War I, where Britain said jump and Canada said how high. In World War II, there was a waiting period. Mackenzie King made the effort to, quote unquote, take it back to the politicians, take it back to the people to discuss. I mean, realistically, it was essentially a foregone conclusion. Nobody was ever going to say that Canada didn't answer the call when the world was at its darkest point. But there was a 9-day waiting period before Canada officially entered the war. And that was tremendously, tremendously, tremendously symbolic when it came to Canada asserting its dominance not asserting its dominance, but asserting its independence when it came to how the war was going to be gauged. Because at that moment, when Mackenzie King took away Britain's ability to just snap their fingers and call to arms its pet dogs from around the world, Canada proved with a symbolic 9 days that no, you know what? We're going to join this war, but we're joining it on our own terms, and we need to be respected as a full ally of the war. And it worked. It absolutely worked, and it really set up Canada's role in World War II as not just a lapdog, but to repeat some of the tremendous success it had in World War I, showing its fearsomeness in combat and its ferocity in taking it to the Germans again, but now as a true independent nation as opposed to a vassal. So, September 10th, 1939, Canada officially enters World War II. We've entered the war a little early. I was going to see if I could line it up historically to make a point, but that never happened, so I kind of blew that one. Sorry, guys, and sorry, Italians, for shooting you. I'm really sorry we have to invade Africa and shoot you guys up, but I'm sure we'll get over it. I'm going to take a break here, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Next episode, we're going to get into the beginning stages of what Canada did in the beginning of World War II, which was honestly a lot of waiting around, but all that waiting around really led into some very, very, very important sort of turning points in how the war was won. But you'll have to join me next time to hear all about that. Thanks so much for watching. Much love, big kisses, and we'll see you soon.